Okay, let us start the class. So today we are going to discuss about the third unit. So far the first unit and second units are the first unit talks about the introduction part of the CAD along with the certain 2D and three-dimensional transformations that you learned. And in the second unit, we came to know how to different types of curve representation, mathematical representations of curve entities. Okay, and different types of curves like analytical curves and synthetic curves, all the mathematics behind the development of different varieties of curves, all those things were well discussed in the second unit also. And in the third unit deals about surfaces, just like how second unit dealt with the curves. Now we are going to learn about the surfaces. Just okay. So parametric representation of surfaces. Now coming to the topics of the PPT. Of course, we will complete only as part of the today's session. We talk up to the third topic. Fourth topic would be discussed in another session. Coming to the topics, basic all the topics are visible to you. Totally divided into four topics. The first topic, what do you mean by surface representation, and in the second topic talks about different types of surface entities. Third topic then talks about parametric representation of analytical surfaces. Fourth one is parametric representation of synthetic surface. Here itself, the slide clearly tells you about the surface. Just similar to the curves, even surfaces also can be categorized into two varieties. One is analytical type of surface. The other one is synthetic type of surface, just similar to the curves. Okay, now analytical surfaces, you are going to learn four different analytical surfaces, which are plane surface is the first one. Second one is tabulated surface. Of course, you may have different names for some of these things, which you will learn in the subsequent slides. Okay, during the elaborated discussion. And the third one is rule surface. Fourth one is surface of revolution. Okay, so these four come under analytical surfaces. I want everybody to remember: plane surface, tabulated surface. Okay, this tabulated surface is also called as tabulated cylinder in certain textbooks. Okay, it is also called as translational sweep also in certain other books. Okay, so you have three names for that: tabulated surface, tabulated cylinder, translational sweep. And now third one is a rule surface. Third one is rule surface. Rule surface, another name is the loft surface. Rule surface is also called as loft surface. And fourth one is surface of revolution. I hope you can remember all these names. And all these four come under analytical surfaces. Okay. Now the other category of surface is synthetic surfaces. Then most of the synthetic surface names, you can get it directly from the synthetic curves itself. Okay, the synthetic curves, you remember the synthetic curves, right? Hermite cubic spline is one of the synthetic curve. If you make a synthetic surface by using two Hermite cubic surfaces, two Hermite cubic splines, then it is called as a Hermite bicubic surface. Okay, Hermite bicubic surface. Similarly, Bezier surface, B-spline surface, Coulomb surface. Totally four synthetic surfaces are there. So these are the topics which come under the third unit. Okay. Uh, Now coming to the basic, what are the surfaces. You know, many industries are using surface modeling. So many industries. Okay, whether it is a aeroplane industry or a shipbuilding industry or automotive industry or turbine industry or any kind of manufacturing industry like shoe manufacturing or bottle manufacturing, you name it, or plastic, or in a certain kind of animations. Many times it is surface models are very much required nowadays, and day by day the need for surface modeling is increasing rather than reducing compared to the 3D solid modeling. Okay, So you can see various surface models even for human uh, anatomy also, or even certain kind of animations. People use surface models. Why? Because surface models are visually uh, whenever visual things are sufficient, just like animated movie. If you take animated movie, we don't bother about what are the internal parts of a particular house. You just need to you just want to show a house, for example. So surface model is sufficient enough. Unless otherwise you are not bothered about the interior parts of similarly, if you want to show a face, just the surface model of the face is enough. You no need to get into the details of what are internal parts of the uh, face, and all those things are not required. Okay, so in most of the cases, yeah, nowadays people are using surface models even to the movies also. Of course, if you look at the manufacturing, there are many sectors, manufacturing sectors, like as I told you, airplane, uh, or shipbuilding, or even there are many varieties of even automotive. For example, if you look at the second slide as an example, the all the external surface of the car, it's purely a surface model. It's purely a surface. It's not a, you have to develop such uh, model using surface modeling techniques only. Uh, so so if you look at the surface model here, the entire surface model is basically, it is you can it's a combination of so many surface entities. Okay, it's actually a mesh. It's actually called as a mesh, of course. Okay, let me use the pointer. So this is actually a mesh model of the surface model. So mesh model is very much required for to perform analysis, and to apply loads for any kind of analysis. Mesh model is very much required. But you can also observe that the actual model is nothing but it's a combination of so many small entities. Each entity is a surface entity. Each entity, each small part is surface entity, which you can observe here. Here in this picture, this is a small picture. You can consider like a small one of the surface patch uh, out of the mesh. If you take one of the surface patch, maybe it may look like this. So we are going to talk about such kind of small patches. Why? Because the entire model is nothing but it's combination of so many such kind of patches only. So different types of also called as entity, right? This patch, you can call it as an entity also. So we are going to talk about the different types of surface entities. Okay, each and every type of entity may not be suitable for every requirement. For example, if you're depending upon the complexity and the behavior of the model, actual object, you have to choose the proper surface entity. So there are many varieties of surface entities, as I told you. Where if you look at this particular car model itself, the analytical surface entities are not at all suitable to develop such kind of complex and sophisticated model, which needs a lot of uh, mm, flexibility. A lot of flexibility is required to develop such kind of surface models for vehicles. So if you try to make use of analytical surfaces, they are not at all fit for this requirement. So depending upon the requirement, you have to pick the proper surface entity. So that is possible only if you can understand more details about each and every surface entity, and the characteristics of different surface entities. Just like you studied about characteristics of various curves, right, in the second unit. Different curve entities take different types of input parameters, as well as their behavior also would be different. Some of the curve entities do provide local control, whereas some other cannot provide local control, whereas they can only provide global control. Or there are many other things also, like approximation method, or interpolation method, So where all the curve passes through each and every control point, or it passes through only first and end point. So there are so many characteristics of curves. Similarly, even the surface also do have a lot of characteristics. So you just if you are familiar with if you can understand the behavior of the surface entities, then you will be in a position to choose the best surface entity for a for different types of needs. Uh, okay. Now coming to the surface representation. Okay. So now here we are going to talk about one small patch. Okay. So and out of that small surface patch. Okay. Surface patch would be represented any patch, any point patch would be represented like a P x y z. Okay. Uh, when I say point, you are getting all these x, y, z coordinates, right? But if you look at this, the parametric way of representing that surface, it comes with a p of u comma v. Whereas if you compare this with curves, the parametric representation of curve used to be p of u only. Whereas in case of surfaces, not only u, he is also using another parameter called v. These are independent parameters. So using surfaces do require two independent parameters in case when you try to write a parametric equations. Okay. Whereas curves, they use only one independent parameter u. And here also u also varies from a minimum value to a maximum, and v also varies from a minimum to a maximum value. So not only you are varying u, but also you are varying v. So by varying both these u and v values, you are going to calculate each and every point. This is a one of the point, one of the general equation v. Okay. So you have v. Z coordinate also you can calculate using an equation in terms of u and v. So unlike the curves here, the each and every equation do come with it uses both u and v. Okay. Uh, so sir, now coming to the Cartesian parametric space. Okay, in Cartesian space, the surface patch may be like this. The surface patch may look like this, where one of the point you can okay, if you take this particular patch made with four endpoints, this is one point, the second, third, and four endpoints. So now for the first point, is nothing but in the equation, in whatever the p of u comma v equation, in this particular equation, if you substitute u minimum, this is u minimum, and v minimum values, so the corresponding point is nothing but the first point, p1. Similarly, if you keep u minimum as it is, but instead of v minimum, if you will substitute v maximum, you get another corner point. Similarly, now u maximum, by taking the combination of u maximum and v minimum, third point, u maximum and v maximum, you get fourth corner point, right? So so in Cartesian space, that would the surface patch may look like this. But whereas the same surface patch, if you try to convert into parametric space, parametric space means you don't talk about x, y, z coordinates. You talk about u as x-axis and v you vary in a y-axis. So u is varying from minimum to maximum, v is varying from minimum to maximum. So it looks like a rectangle. So in Cartesian space, it can be any kind of surface patch, but when it comes to the parametric space, it is simply a rectangle. Okay. Now coming to the second topic of the presentation, it's the different types of surface entities. All these things are already explained to you. Of course, probably this bilinear surface was not shown in the previous slide, but here in this slide it is there. Uh, but the mathematics behind bilinear surface we may not talk. Okay. Now once you all these points are all discussed, right? So surface entities can be divided into analytical surface entities and synthetic surface entities. Analytical surface, first one is a plane surface. Okay. Second one is a tabulated surface. I told you that it can also be called as a tabulated cylinder. In some of the textbooks, they use the term tabulated cylinder. It is also called as a translational sweep. Why? Because they use this translational sweep technique to get such kind of surfaces. So directly in some of the books, they are using translational sweep as the title. Now, third one is a ruled surface. It is also called as a loft surface. Fourth one is a surface of revolution or rotational sweep. Okay, these are all the different names. You should remember all these names. Why? Because in certain questions, directly they may ask like explain about loft surface. Unless otherwise you know that loft is nothing but ruled surface, you cannot explain it. So that's why better remember all these names. Okay. So today we are going to probably we try to talk about all these things. If time permits, we can complete about all these things. Otherwise, we can stop at any time. Okay. And apart from the analytical surfaces, the other category is a synthetic surfaces. I want you to remember these names as well. So bicubic Hermite spline, bicubic. Okay. Earlier it used to be Hermite cubic spline, right? Now it is bicubic Hermite spline or Hermite bicubic spline surface. It can be in any way, okay. But this Hermite comes, and now instead of a simple B spline, it will be a bicubic. It will be a bicubic, okay. And at the end, you are going to get a surface. Similarly, Bezier surface. You can stop with Bezier surface, or you can extend up to Bezier surface patch also. Similarly, B-spline surface, bilinear surface, Poon's surface. Okay, you can write this patch or not. It's not a problem. In some of the books, the patch would be mentioned. In some, it may not be. Right now, so as I discussed, we are going to talk about the parametric representation of the analytical curves. Sorry, it's actually analytical surfaces. Okay, I wrongly typed here. It is actually analytical surfaces. Please pardon me. Okay. So parametric representation of analytical surfaces is the topic. Now the first one is a plane surface, right? The first variety of a analytical surface is a plane surface. Plane, the name itself is saying that it's very you can understand from it. It's a plane. So, but you can observe that it's actually a kind of rectangular plane, of course. Okay. Why? Why? Because we are actually taking. If you look at the definition, this surface is a flat 2D surface which is created by drawing a straight line and then sweeping an identical lines through a specified distance in a given direction. So here, if you look at this, he is actually using 3 points. Plane surface do require, the minimum number of points required are 3 points. Okay, P1, P2, P3. Out of these 3 points, 2 points define a straight line, the other point define a direction. Here in this particular diagram, it looks like P1, P3, these 2 points he is using to develop a straight line, and then P2, the point P2 he is using to specify the direction in which this is the direction, right? This is the direction arrow. So P2 is giving us the direction in which I need to sweep this particular line. That is the reason I'm getting so many lines. It is appearing like so many lines. Okay, and all these lines together, probably it looks like a plane surface. Okay, depending upon the variation of u. So here, probably as per this particular diagram, P1 and P3 using for this straight line, he is using the independent variable v. Why? Because this is one of the curve, right? This is a curve entity. If you say like line means a curve entity, right? So any curve entity uses one individual parameter. Similarly, the direction P1 to P2, he is actually changing the u value. So at P1, point P1, both V is equal to 0 as well as U is equal to 0. Whereas at P3, if you look at P3, U is equal to 0, U is equal to 0, but V is in this direction, right? V is changing in this direction. So V is equal to V max. V is equal to 1. V maximum means 1. Here for plane surfaces, the limits are always 1. You can observe this 0 to 1, 0 to 1. Both the limits, they do vary from 0 to 1 only. So at P3, U is equal to 0, V is equal to 1. Similarly, you can observe about P2. P2 at for P2, what would be the U and V values? Here U is varying. U is equal to 1 at P2, U is equal to 1 at P2, whereas V is equal to 0. V is not varying. Okay. So V is equal to 0 only. So that is how you can understand the parameters, the independent variables, how they are varying in case of a plane surface. Now coming to the parametric representation, if you try to write down an equation form, P of U comma V. This is the parametric equation for plane surface. This is the parametric equation for plane surface P of U comma V. P1 plus P2 minus P1 into U. If you observe this, you can this part this part is same as P1 plus P2 minus P1 into U. This part is just same as your straight line equation, parametric representation of a straight line, right? And similarly, even P3 minus P1 into V is also another part in the same form. But only thing is, instead of U, he is actually using V, right? So by he is clubbing both these things and writing a surface equation, which you can understand that. Okay, this is the oral surface equation. P1 plus P2 minus P1 into U. P2 minus P1 into U. Why he is applying U for this? U is this parameter U. It is varying between P1 to P2. That's why P2 minus P1 he is applying U for this. Whereas parameter V is it is varying from between P3 and P1, right? So he is applying parameter V for P3 and P1. P3 minus P1 into V. Okay, is this by simplifying this, you can write it like this. Okay, you can further simplify this. Okay, just like the straight line equation, you can take out P1, P2, P3 as common, and everything remaining you can write in terms of U and V. Okay, but coming to the tangent vectors, in case of curves, you are having only one tangent vector, which you are getting by performing first derivative of the parametric equation with respect to U. But now you have two parameters, so you will get two tangent vectors for the plane surface, or at any point on the plane surface. So one is with respect to U, you have to perform the derivative P dash. This is U tangent vector. Similarly, the same above equation, as I told you, if you perform this equation, this entire equation, if you perform the first derivative with respect to U, you will get P2 minus P1, because that is having the coefficient U. Similarly, if you do the derivative with respect to V, you get the coefficient of V, P3 minus P1 as the uh, V tangent vector. So when you are having these are the two tangent vectors. Now, normal, if someone asks you to find out the unit normal vector, normal vector would be only one. Okay, so whenever two tangent vectors are there, by performing the cross product, you can actually get the unit normal vector. Okay. Just a minute. Are you following? Are you following?
Yes, sir. Following, sir.
Any doubts so far? Is the screen visible to you still?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Visible,
Okay.
sir.
Okay. Now, as an example, can you please tell me how can you solve this problem? Let me show you the previous slide. So this is the equation, right? P of u comma v is equal to p1 plus p2 minus p1 into u plus p3 minus p1 into
u1
v.
by 2 v1 by 2, sir.
Mm-hmm.
u1 by 2 v1 by 2, sir.
But he's asking you to generate a plane surface passing through. So first of all, you need to write the equation, right? You need to write the equation, right? How do you write the equation? P of, first of all, you are going to write that equation P of u comma v is equal to that equation you are going to write it, okay? And
P1 plus
then see x of u comma v, you have to write this x of. The above equation is a parametric form. This is a generic form. This is a, whenever p is used, it's a generic form which represents all the coordinates x, y, z coordinates. Okay. Now, after writing that equation p, whatever the previous equation, now x of x, the equation would be p1, right? P1 plus what is that? P2 minus p1, I think. P2 minus p1 into u
P1 into U
plus p3 minus
plus
p1 into v.
P2 minus P1 into V.
p3
P3 minus P1 into V.
p3 minus p1 into v, and you will write it like 0 less than or equal to u less than or equal to 1, all those things you will write it. Now you tell me, how do you write x of u comma v? This, instead of p1 you are going to use x1, instead of p2 you are going to use x2, this is x3. So when you write the expansion of this p of u p of u comma v equation, you will have three equations. All these equations are for every x coordinate, all x coordinates you get from this equation, y coordinate you get from this equation. Everything is in terms of v, u and v. Okay. So now if you write x of u comma v, the equation will become p1 means 1 plus p2 minus p1. p2 minus p1 means minus 1, which means instead of u, let me, so p2 minus p1, 0 minus 1 is minus 1 into u. So it will be minus u. And p3 minus p1, 3 minus 1, 2, 2v plus 2v. Hope you are understanding. Similarly, for y of u comma v also, you will get another equation in terms of uv. Z of uv also, you get another equation in terms of uv. For all these things, u is varying from 0 to u varies from 0 to 1. V also varies from 0 to 1. Okay. So if someone asks you to find out some 10 points on the surface, some 10 points on the surface, you have to, the database you can get it. Okay. How do you develop the database for surfaces? For in case of curves, you are changing only u. You are changing only u starting from 0 to 1. You are taking 0 and then 0 0.1, 0 0.2, different, depending upon the accuracy of the points, you used to vary different values for u. But now for surfaces, not only u, but you should also vary v. You should also vary v. And then you are going to calculate x, y, z by varying u v values from 0 to a maximum of 1. In between, you can take so many combinations, right? So by taking so many combinations, if you calculate by substituting in the above equations, you get the corresponding points. All these points, okay, all these points, if you try to project on the computer, it looks like a plane surface. Why I'm explaining all these things is, if somebody is really interested to write a program, then he can understand how to develop the database, and these are all very, very simple mathematics. You don't need to worry, but very interesting for those who wants to play with CAD applications. ఓకే, మీరు ఇండస్ట్రీలో మీరు ఏదైనా మంచి ఇండస్ట్రీలో జాబ్ వచ్చినా సరే, మీకు మీకు ఆటో క్యాడ్ మీద వర్క్ చేయమనో, ప్రోయి మీద వర్క్ చేయమనో అలాంటి జాబ్స్ కంటే, అవి యాక్చువల్గా డిప్లొమా వాళ్ళు చేస్తారు, వాటికంటే మీరు అసలు ఆటో క్యాడ్ సాఫ్ట్వేర్ డెవలప్ చేసే వాళ్ళు పీపుల్ ఉంటారు కదా, ఆ వర్క్స్ మీరు చేయాల్సి ఉంటుంది. అంటే ఒక యూ షుడ్ బి ఇన్ ఎ పొజిషన్ టు డెవలప్ CAD software or CAM software or CAPP software or MRP software. You are studying so many subjects, right? Especially CAD related applications. There are so many applications that the industries are using. So they are the real jobs for engineers. రిమైనింగ్ ఏదో ఆటోకేడ్లో జాబ్ చేస్తాడు, క్రయోలో నేను మోడలింగ్ చేస్తున్నాను, ఇవన్నీ యాక్చువల్గా అయితే డిప్లొమాలు చేసే వర్క్. ఓకే, ఇంకా చెప్పాలంటే మీకంటే వాళ్ళు ఎక్కువ బాగా మోడలింగ్ చేయగలుగుతారు, బట్ మోడల్లో ఉన్న ప్రాబ్లమ్స్, ఇష్యూస్ ఏమైనా వస్తే ఏం చేయాలి, ఎలా చేయాలి అని మాత్రం ఇంజనీర్స్ చేయగలుగుతారు. సో దర్ ఇస్ ఎ లాట్ ఆఫ్, యూ షుడ్ థింక్ లైక్ అన్ ఇంజనీర్ రాదర్ దాన్ సింపుల్ modeling engineer. Okay, now let me come back. So I hope you understood how to, these three equations do represent the surface, plane surface, but apart from that he is also asking you to find out the midpoint of the plane surface. Somebody told correctly that if you want to find out the midpoint out of all these, I don't need to derive all the, I don't need to find out all these points which are not asked in the question. But if you want to show the surface graphically, then you have to do this. But if your requirement is only to find out the midpoint, don't do the entire database. You just substitute the midpoint, means u, where u will be at 1/2, v also would be at 1/2. So at u is equal to v is equal to 1/2, you just substitute 1/2 values in these three equations. So you get corresponding x, y, z coordinates. So those x, y, z coordinates, they represent the midpoint. They represent the midpoint. Is this clear to you?
Yes, sir. Clear, sir.
Next, coming to the next type of, we started our class at 11:15, right? I try to close it by 12, before 12:15. I try to close it before 12:15. Okay, but I request everybody to be there, to be online till that time. I already started early upon your based on your request, so you should also obey for that. Fine. Now coming to the second type of analytical surface, which is as I told you, tabulated surface. It's also called as tabulated cylinder, and in certain other cases they use translational sweep. Okay, it's very simple. The name itself is it's having translational sweep, which is, you take a look at here from the diagram, you can simply understand rather than going through the all these paragraphs are not right. So if you take if you look at this particular diagram, there is something called planar curve, right? So this planar curve, you can observe here, this is what the planar curve means. So this is the planar curve he is talking about. So this planar curve, if you sweep, right now the planar curve is lying in xy plane. As per this diagram, the planar curve is lying in this in xy plane. That planar curve, if you sweep in z direction, you can get a surface, right? Such kind of, it's a translational sweep, simple sweep, translation. Okay, so when you are sweeping a curve in a particular direction, you are actually sweeping a curve in a particular direction. Whatever the kind of surface that you get, that surface is called as a tabulated surface. If that curve is a circle, look at here, it's a planar curve like this. If you imagine a circle, then if you sweep a circle in the z direction, you get a cylinder. So that's why they also call it as a tabulated cylinder. Why? Because especially for the cylinders, they started using this technique. Okay, and now uh, there are other terms as well, directrix and generatrix. Okay, whichever direction, in whichever direction you are sweeping, that you call it, you are calling it as generatrix, and it's also the he is also calling it as a directrix. Whatever the planar curve that you are sweeping, he is also calling it as a directrix. The other way is also possible. What is the other way? Taking the generatrix as a, but the generatrix needs to be a straight line here. Okay. The other way, I am trying to explain the other way. So rather than sweeping in a straight line manner, a generatrix, by taking a generatrix also, if you sweep along the curve, along the planar curve, if you try along the directrix, this is the directrix, right? Along the directrix, by following the direction of the directrix, if you sweep, that is also possible. So this is a surface generated by translating a planar curve a given distance along a specified direction. The plane of a curve is perpendicular to the axis of the generated cylinder. Okay, if you look at the definition. Now, coming to such kind of surfaces, you can have any number of surfaces simply by taking a curve as a planar curve and then sweeping in a particular direction. You can observe this kind of surface. Similarly, the curve, by varying the curve shape, simply by sweeping it, you can get so many varieties of surfaces. All these surfaces are called as a tabulated surfaces or translational sweep. Okay, one thing you need to understand, that translational sweep means always, in this direction you have to sweep in this direction, perpendicular to the curve, perpendicular to the curve in whichever so the other way, even though it is possible, but the parametric equation will not fit for the other way of creating such kind of surface. Whatever the parametric equation that he is showing right now, it is for the first case what I explained. Okay, first case means considering planar curve which is on a xy plane. So the planar curve is also calling that planar curve as a directrix. Okay, so uh, uh, whichever curve that you are sweeping, that is called as a directrix, nothing more than that. So this parametric equation suits for directrix lying on xy plane and sweeping along the z direction. So how this equation, how the surface is getting this kind of equation? Let us take a point on the curve. Let us take a point. This point right now, it is on a curve. Curve means uh, it's only uh, one independent variable, right? Curve, the parametric representation do have only one. So this particular point do have its own x of u and y of u. By substituting a particular u value, u varies from 0 to 1. U is equal to, let us say, u is equal to 0 here, u is equal to 1 here. By generalizing this entire curve, any point can be represented like x of u comma y of u. Now I am sweeping this entire curve means, let us take a generic point like this. When you are trying to sweep a generic point, that point will come to a distance. The point will come to a distance. So that point is coming to another position. right? So this is a new direction. Whenever new direction is coming, I have to use another independent variable v. So u I am independent variable u I am using for the planar curve, which is a directrix. So and the sweeping direction I am covering using the another independent variable v. So now if you try to observe the coordinate of this point, x and y coordinates will not change for this point as well as this point. XY coordinates are same for this position as well as this position. For both these points, XY coordinates are same. Which one? What is changing? Only I am inducing certain Z coordinate. I am inducing only certain Z coordinate. That is the reason X and Y coordinates are still functions of u only, are still functions of u only, which means whatever is the coordinate on the curve, xy coordinate on the curve, the same coordinate would be applied while sweeping also, while sweeping the curve also. Which one is changing along this line? Along this line, if you take one straight line like this, like a generatrix, if you take a straight line like this, what is changing along this line? XY coordinates are not changing, only Z coordinate is changing depending upon the V value. If the length of the generatrix L, if the length of the generatrix is L, nothing but I am sweeping by a distance of, by a length of L. So then the Z coordinate will become L multiplied by V. Why? Because if V is equal to 0, Z coordinate is 0, which is nothing but the point is lying on the curve. The point is directly lying on the curve. It's a planar curve. Whereas as V is changing, the length influence also will come into picture at V is equal to 1, which means at this end point of the surface, and end part of the surface, the length will be, the Z coordinate will become L. So throughout all these points, okay, all these points do have Z coordinate as L only. Okay, why? Because for all these edge points on this edge, V is equal to 1, right? And now you no need to worry about this one. He is basically trying to use it, trying to put this equation to suit a matrix requirement. So in matrix form, it uses 4 by 4 matrices. That's the reason he is using another coordinate 1 as a fourth position. But basically, only the first 3 are sufficient enough for you to understand about a tabulated surface. Is it clear to you? Are you following?
Yes, sir.
So, there are 2 more topics: rule surface and loft surface. Uh, this may take some time, and surface of revolution also. Okay, we will talk about all these things in the next class. Just wait for a minute. Let me take the attendance.